Good morning, everyone. Philippine Forex. Today we're going to talk about I'll call them the minor pairs, Canadian, UK, Australia, New Zealand. But I first want to talk about this fellow with the dislocated elbow and talk to you a little bit more about the savings that you need in the Philippines. And we will start with pesos and end with pesos after I show how much it'll cost in Australian dollars. So a quick reminder that what I'm citing here is to do with a vlog that was out there from Mark at Every Man Has a Story, and it's a follow-up to my other video where I'm talking about the fellow who sprained his elbow. Now, how it got to that point is not what I'm talking about here, okay? What I'm talking about is your ability to pay your bills, so that you don't have to get into that embarrassing situation of maybe asking another vlogger or, standing on a street corner asking for cash, okay? My point here is that he cited that the cost was going to be about 3,000 Australian dollars, which is about 110,000 pesos. So using that context, and I'm still saying about 60,000 pesos is your kind of minimum. And more guys, more and more I'm seeing out there, can you live on $1,000 US? First, stop that nonsense. You got to be citing pesos because the currencies go up and down. More and more of them are now starting to realize, no, it's got to be higher than that. That's insane numbers. There's one-offs that can do it, guys, one-offs, but the majority, no. So I don't care about that unique case. I really don't. But getting back to this 3,000 Australian dollars or 110,000 pesos, 60,000 pesos, you got to save 10,000 pesos a month. And in 11 months, you've got the money to pay that. Because it's just what you need. And in 3 years, you would have enough for something a lot more major, or at least get you through the door. Now, I want to qualify here something that I hope most of you are putting together, and that is when I talk about savings in the bank, we always say things like, you can bank on this, you can, right? We're talking prepaid Visa, we're talking a Visa card with a good limit on it. We're talking all sorts of different things, maybe a local bank account, you know what I mean? It's all these different means that you have that you can get quick access to cash. And yeah, we just got to get that messaging through. The Philippines, like any other country out there, is not as cheap as you think it is. And it's also not the tropical paradise that you guys think it is. I've had buddies that have lived in places like Hawaii. After a while, it's just home, right? And you have to start living at home. This whole party thing, okay, some of you can do it, but in this case of the Australian, put himself in a situation where now he needs to come up with serious cash and he can't do it. There we go. Okay, so now what I want to get into are these currency pairs and talking about the pound, the Canadian, Australia, and New Zealand, as promised from last week. Got to stand in the shade here, guys. Whew, it's warm today. Okay, the ticker's been running, but the kicker here with these pairs is that the CANZUK countries, not companies, countries, chatter a lot more. They spend more time up and more time down and more time equalized relative to the US dollar. And it's important to note too that the Australian and New Zealand, because they are part of the ASEAN trading group, Australia and New Zealand tend to be above their thresholds more than they do below. The nice thing about our group of pairs is that the period of time that we are spending low is not a long period. Unlike the US dollar, when it was down at 40, that took almost 4 years to recover. So, it's very difficult to work with the US dollar on some of those things if you're trying to work with your savings. But all the more reason you have to think in pesos, and you have to think of having some form of savings or some form of access to quick cash. Okay, so a reminder, when I'm talking about access to money or having money in the bank, it's about your ability to pull money. Okay, so whether it's a credit card, whether it's cash in the bank, as long as you can show means, they'll get at it. Okay, but again, on these minor pairs, to do with the peso, the kicker for us is the amount of time spent low is not that long. So it's not unreasonable for me to say save when it's above the threshold. Right now, if Lynn and I had set that 43 for part of our savings, we've already got the savings here for our emergencies. But if we were doing that, then right now we would be taking 1 peso away from our savings that we've done over the last 6 months and using it for this month. Later, Gators.